everyone, welcome to the next video I am doing for Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford. I'm going to be using my Derwent Chromaflow pencils today. If you don't have the pencils, don't worry too much. I have links in the description so that you can go and find some comparison charts so that you can match the colours. My lamp's not on. Woo! There we go. With sets that you do have, hopefully. Now we are going to be doing the tortoise first and then the buildings and other bits after. So I'm going to come in nice and close. Now I do need to apologise to any of you that don't have this book yet or aren't going to get it, because I'm afraid I'm rather obsessed by it and just colouring in it all the time at the moment. I am going to do a light layer over the shell first with the rose quartz colour, and then we're going to put in some other colours to sort of give it some life, as it were. So this is the rose quartz, and I want to use it quite lightly. I just want a base so that I can, once I start putting in my darker colour, I'll be able to see how it's working. Hopefully it'll all make sense once. Now I'm a bit confused. I think this is the end of the shell. I think this is his body. So that's sort of why I put a base down as well, so I can just work out what's going on. Now I do love colouring a tortoise, and I did one for you from Small Victories, I think on the postcards maybe, I think. But anyway, now I spoke to someone, my friend Mary actually, about this book, and she said she thought this tortoise shell looked like it was made of gemstones. And I can see exactly why she said that, but I am not colouring it like gemstones, so I'm going to do it rather differently, just like a shell really. Now you could do it in a bright colour. I've decided to go for these sorts of grey-brown, well, greys I suppose they are really. Now I need a darker colour, and I'm just having a little look. I'm going to I was thinking about using the slate grey, but this colour is kind of pinkish purplish, and the slate grey, it might work. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's do it. So here it is, the slate grey. Now you can use any dark and light colour. Now what I'm going to be doing here is slightly spreading this colour with the other colour. Now these are soft and squishy colours, so we can do this with other pencil sets. You may struggle. So I'm going to put my slate grey right around the edge of here, like this, to try and make it look a bit more three-dimensional. I'm going to put a little bit at the back, but I want much more underneath, because I think that's where the shadow is going to be. And then I'm just going to put a tiny bit of this all around here, like that, not on that piece. So when I come back to it, I'll show you actually. We'll go back to our rose quartz, and I'll show you this one, how I envisage it. That I then put another layer of rose quartz on the bottom, like this, and just slightly spread out that colour that's making the shadow. And we get what looks like this is slightly raised up from the rest. That is my sort of plan. We can put a bit of a darker colour on there, but I think actually it's going to look more raised up if it's lighter. So that's my plan. I need to come in a bit closer really, don't I? Hopefully you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do one colour then the other. I'm going to do all my slate grey, and then do for this bottom bit, and then do all the, go back to all the rose quartz after. So yeah, I am hoping that you're all enjoying Johanna's new book, and that you're all happy to sort of follow along tutorials from it, because yeah, I'm a bit obsessed. I have done some pages on my own as well, which I'll be sharing with you in due course. They will be in my completed pages for November, but I'll put some up on my socials as well. It depends if you follow those or not. Of course, not everyone is on social media. I tend to put most on Instagram and Facebook. I put a little bit occasionally on Pinterest, Reddit. I've been trying to get into Blue Sky, which is the new, apparently it's going to take over from Twitter. My boys told me I needed to get on there, but I haven't really seen much action on there, so it's you have to be a bit careful. I mean, it's all very well having lots of places to promote, and that's brilliant, you know, all these different social media channels, but I have to keep on top of it all, so I have to use the ones that I think are most the word lucrative is coming to mind, but it's not really that. That gets the most engagement, should we say, and appeals to most people. So, you know, I can't do all of them. And my son says, oh, get a Discord group and people can chat to you in there and that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, that's really something that gamers do rather than artists, for one thing. But also, it's time. My sister says, start a Facebook group, you know, I'm like, again, I just don't really have the time to moderate that sort of thing, to keep on top of it, to keep posting and all that sort of thing. So it's, you know, I know that I need to prioritise actually making the videos, so I have to be careful with what I'm doing, you know, because I also want to do what I enjoy, and I don't think moderating a group would be enjoyful. That was what I was going to say. Good word. Would be something that I would enjoy, really. So, you know, it's just, I know. So that's why it's not for me, really. I have a lot of admiration for people that do it, and they spend a lot of time, thankless time and effort and energy, and it's appreciated. I know, while some people don't really appreciate how much work goes into it, but it's just not something that I want to do. Now what I'm going to try and do here is go a bit darker around our item and sort of fade off towards the edge of this sort of square a little bit. Yeah, so there's so much that I could do, and it's just finding the right thing. You know, I put a few things on TikTok. They were getting really popular for a while, and now they're not at all. You know, it's all down to the algorithm of TikTok, whether it likes you or not. I find that if I don't post for a while and then suddenly I post, they decide to show my video to everybody, and it gets more cover, you know, more people see it. It's just a bit of a luck of the draw, really. And I'm not, you know, it takes, uploading is easy because I can just use a video I've done before, but then there's repetition, but it takes time to upload, and I can't be uploading to YouTube at the same time, or I can't be exporting my videos or editing, and so it's just getting that balance. And yeah, I do look at what's going on and think about what seems to be popular, and it really does at the moment look like Instagram and YouTube are the popular places. I mean, obviously YouTube, but I keep with Facebook because it's easy, because Meta has a tool where you can post to both Facebook and Instagram at the same time, so that saves a lot of time, and so that's good. And it also feels like it's fairly popular. I think most people, my Instagram following is much bigger, and I think that's because I started with Instagram. I didn't put anything on Facebook for a while, for sort of reasons. I didn't want my friends and family from Facebook to be able to discover me, but because I was worried about negativity, but I've realised that whether they think what I'm doing is odd or not, they're not rude enough to say anything, so I just have to hope that, just have to assume they haven't seen it, if that makes sense. So that's just how I have to think about it, really, because I don't want to cut people off who want to contact me through Facebook, because I am just a bit worried about it all. Now I'm going to go back to my slate grey and work some more layers, thinking hard about where these shadows are going to be under our items. And you can choose to sort of work at this for as long or as little time as you want to. And just to get those layers in to emphasize that sort of shadowy area. Now what I'm also going to do is to put a little bit in between, because where I've coloured with my what was it, rose quartz, I've gone over the top of these black lines and it's just eliminated them a little bit, and I want them to be present, so I'm just going to go over them a little bit. And now this higher bit. Now I'm thinking that each section like this, I feel this is the top part and these are the edges leading up to the top. So this bit's closer to us, can be a bit lighter, and these bits are going to be a bit darker, and they're going to be up, pointing upwards, sort of, I can't, like at an angle. It's very hard to show you. So I am going to take my slate grey and start here and slowly just reduce it up the side of here. Now this is the way you could do a gemstone like this as well. If you wanted to do it in a bright colour, you could use exactly the same technique with a colour rather than a grey, if you wish to. This might look a little bit dull. Now you may actually find it quite difficult to match this colour anyway with one pencil, because they're quite unique. So you could use any shade of grey, browny grey, anything like that that you fancy. Look at some shells, some tortoise shells, and see what they look like and how you feel they should look. You know, now they're not usually smooth. Like even this top bit here can be quite gnarly on the ones that I've seen anyway in zoos. Where is it? I've been, Cotswold Wildlife Park has these giant tortoises. They are so huge, and they're quite old as well. They're fantastic. I love the story of giant tortoises. Now they're from the Galapagos Islands, I think, and explorers used to keep trying to bring them back to the UK, and they would always vanish because apparently they taste delicious and they couldn't resist them. They were so tasty that they would always eat them on the journey across on the boat. It's like, wow, I wonder what they taste like. I mean, I don't eat meat, I don't like it, but it still intrigues me that what would it taste like. It's not like we eat it now, so that almost indicates it's something that these days we wouldn't dream of eating. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite strange. Now as I'm doing this, I'm looking at these and I'm feeling they almost look like they're not coloured in at all. So I'm going to play with them a little bit after, I think, and put maybe some pinks or something in there to give them a little bit of life. But we'll carry on with this at the minute. I'm just quite enjoying chilling and just doing this little gentle process of putting a little bit of shadow into these. But yeah, I find that quite fascinating. They eventually managed to bring them back. You would think that, you know, they might think, well, actually, if we bring back a breeding pair, we can have as many as we want to eat, you know. But they just couldn't. I mean, I suppose on a long boat trip they might have run out of food. I mean, you often hear of it, don't you? Scurvy and weevils in their biscuits, and that's all the things I remember from history lessons at school. Don't remember who was on the boat or where they were going. I just remember they got scurvy and had weevil. Lovely. I'm sorry if you're eating your tea or your breakfast or or your tortoise. Oh, we're not going to eat you, don't worry, little tortoise. Oh dear. But of course, back in the day, they would have eaten all sorts of things that we wouldn't dream of eating now. And also in other countries, they eat things that we don't eat in our countries, you know. So I think there's something about, there's a sort of gross factor to it, that if you didn't know what it was you were eating and you weren't suspicious, you might eat something that actually, if you knew what it was, you wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Do you know what I mean? You might think, oh, that's really tasty, but actually I don't want to eat a horse or a dog or whatever it might be. Ooh. No. But for me, as someone who doesn't like meat, it wouldn't make a heck of a difference, to be honest, what it was. I wouldn't want it regardless. As someone who used to be, you know, I sort of think, I never quite understand why people who eat meat are sort of squeamish about eating certain things, certain bits, certain parts, certain bits of the meat. If it tastes bad, that makes perfect sense to me. But why is it more unacceptable to eat a certain part of an animal compared to another? I don't really understand that. Now this bit, I don't know what to do with this bit and this bit. I'm going to ignore them. I think that's a good idea, don't you? We'll just ignore them. They'll go away. Rose quartz. Now I'm going to go over this with my rose quartz. Excuse me, and sort of blend up the colour. That was a very naughty belt I just did then. It's unlike me. I can't. It's not like I'm really polite. I just can't do it normally. I can't just do it. But I've just had lunch. We had some lovely fresh bread. So we had some slices of fresh bread. That is working quite nicely. I still don't know what I'm going to do with this top part, but we'll get there. We'll just enjoy this bit. It's a nice, soft and gentle process. Now, interestingly, someone was saying to me that they felt that this paper, this is the UK edition, they felt the paper was different to Johanna's other books and that it was smoother. I haven't noticed a huge difference. Now, I have used, let me think, I've used Stedler, I've used Castle Arts Gold, I've used Prismas, Polys, this is Chromaflows, I've used these on another page as well. I've used Shapira Farbens. I haven't cut up many pages really, honestly. And I haven't really noticed that the paper is particularly different, personally. But I have noticed that it layers nicely. The colours seem to go down well. I'm very happy with it. So that was my opinion anyway. But I'm not really a big... I'm not that fussy about paper. There's only a few papers that I don't get on with, and those are the really, really smooth papers. So the Lulu Mayos and Millie Marotta I find really hard to colour on, and I find these Chromaflow pencils are actually the best I have found for working on that smooth paper, which is interesting. I don't know if anyone else has found the same thing, but I just find that pencil like a Polychromos, it slips about a little bit on the paper, but I don't know. But sometimes I think maybe I'm just a bit too impatient and I'm not layering up softly enough, but I don't know. Millie's paper, Millie Marotta, I've always struggled with. But as I say, I found the Chromaflows are quite good, and even like with the Polychromo, layering slowly, I find I can't get a neat finish to it, even, you know, it's sort of even neat finish, which is, you know, I'm not that neat a colorist, but I still want a certain amount of neatness to be present. This is going to be a really weird color. Now, I don't mind that it's a weird color, but what I'm thinking is, what on earth am I going to match it with? What am I going to do for the tortoise? A sort of greeny pink. Grey, greeny pink. Actually, I've just had a little look on my swatch chart, and I think there's a colour that might work quite well. There's the sort of grey-green, there's the field grey, And the cactus and the pastel mint, they might work with this colour. Wasn't the colour I was going to go with. I was going to go with olives because they're my favourite and I always use them. But I shouldn't always use them, and they're not going to match this. So yeah. Right. We're sort of at the end of this. I quite like to do these a bit more with something, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to have a little look. Yes, that's going to work. I'm going to grab the ash rose. Now this is a grey pinky colour. Here it is. Ash rose, and I think it will work with these greys and things. I need to sharpen it though. Just got some new blades, which was nice. I've actually just replaced this one, but I used up the last of the Stedler. So there's a Stedler Norris sharpener. Wrote to Stedler, and what am I going to do? I think I'm just going to put a few dashes and lines on here to give it a bit of texture. And they said they do send out blades for free for their sharpeners, but they also can send out larger quantities if you pay. So we paid, well, we've got to pay the invoice actually, which they sent us with the blades. What would we pay? €10 for, I can't remember how many blades. Oh, I don't know what to do. I think I'm just going to do a little area in the middle. See if I can sort of do like that. I don't know. I'm going to keep going with it and then decide whether I want it or whether I just want to colour the whole thing with this. I forget that idea. They've sent us a load of spare blades. Now you do have to sign a disclaimer to say that you are going to be careful with them, which we will be. They'll be, our children are grown up anyway, but they're put away carefully in a drawer with art things, and you know, but it's quite useful because just have a limited supply, and I would just not change them often enough because I knew they would run out. I think I want to colour in the whole thing. I don't like that border. I've got a different idea. I think it still looks quite good, like it's standing out just with this pinky colour. This one looks better. I've sort of done random bits, but what I will do is fill all this in. I might not worry about those, they're a bit more random, and then put some random marks on with my rose quartz. Now this might be a disaster, so I'm just going to sort of go like this and just break up that surface with some bumps and lines. Now you might think that's just looks like you've scribbled all over your page, which I have, and if you don't like it, then don't do it. Now if you're doing them as gemstones, don't do this. I will be doing some more gemstone help for you later. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go my slate grey again, and I'm going to emphasise these gaps between each item like I did on the, but only the gaps between them, not every single line, like this. And then we'll move on to our little man. Man? Do you think he's a man? I do. I don't know why. I think a girl would be, it's got flowers though. I think a girl might be a bit more practical and wouldn't carry a house on her back. It's already got this house to be in. It doesn't need this one as well. A bit greedy. Now I'm saying men are greedy, am I? No. There we go. Okay, so our tortoise, let's think now. got all these dots on the legs. Let's grab the 3 colours I was going to use. So we want the pastel mint, the cactus and the field grey. I won't show you them at the minute now. What I want to do is do the gaps between these circles a bit darker, and they're really minuscule. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to grab the field grey, give it a sharpen, actually it's pretty good, and just try and fill in all the little gaps between the circles. Now this is quite fine and delicate work, and if you don't feel like doing it, then just don't. But I think it will give a slightly, I'm hoping, 3-dimensional look to these little circles, which I'm quite liking the idea of. I'm not going to, or am I? I'm not going to do anything else yet. I'm just going to do in between them, and then I'll have a little think about what I'm doing with the rest. It's a nice morning this morning. It's actually Saturday, and went to the farmer's market, and there was a little craft market there where my husband was looking for a particular glass seller. I just remembered her name, but she wasn't there. We chatted to another artist. I've got a piece of his work hanging above my desk, not in here. And it is so beautiful, and I was telling him how I'm going to use it for inspiration for a piece, but I haven't got round to it yet. It's actually in Worlds of Wonder. There's that there's a shark which is made of metal, and I'm going to do a sort of rusty look to him and use the colours, because the colours of the picture, it's actually a whale, and it's got sort of lots of greeny blues in it, like emeralds and things, emerald green. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's also got a little bit of rust colour in it as well, and I was going to use the rusty colour on the shark and then the emerald green sort of in the water, and it's just amazing, but I haven't got round to doing it yet. Did I do this one? I think I'm done, yeah. I think I'm going to use this dark one just for the toenails as well, and I'm going to try and make them look a little bit shiny by going around the outside and leaving a little white bit, hopefully. If I plastered down, I could feel it was really thick. Sometimes I feel that if you plaster on oily pencils too thick, it's like you've got some oil pastel down there on the page. Okay. But anyway, I had a little chat with him, and husband bought some cards. He'd had an exhibition which I went to, his exhibition, but he wasn't there at the exhibition, because there were, I think there were 5 of them. They must have all sat there for sort of one day each, you know, and it was interesting. Now I'm going to use the cactus. It's a slightly lighter colour for the, no, let's not do that now, let's do the mint. This is the pastel mint. I'm going to do the dotty bits with this, and I'm just going to colour right over the top of what we've done already. Now it is quite pale, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to need to add a bit more colour. I'm going to layer it up a little bit. Oops, some beeping. The washing machine. Layer it up a little bit. It might need a bit more, but we're using these sort of muted tones. I'm actually thinking that maybe the Castle Arts Harmonious pencils might be able to give you these sorts of colours a little bit. There's a lot of greys in there, and some pinks I don't think I've done a sort of chart comparing those with these, because there's sort of, you know, there's 150 of these and only a few of those, and they're quite limited colour palette wise. You could sort of got greys and browns and pinks and greens, and that's about it really. There we go. Now I'm going to go for the cactus. We're going to use the cactus colour for the remaining bit. I'm going to put a bit of shadow in though, because I feel that this side here and the underside would be a bit darker. So I'm going to make it more layered up and then do less as I come up. My stomach is gurgling now. Obviously eaten too much lunch, had some delicious slices of fresh wholemeal spelt bread, and what did I have? Dipped in some olive oil. That was all I had actually. A cup of coffee. I say all, it was plenty, it's 2 thick slices. Very nice indeed. Now I am trying to layer it up a little more at the sides and the base, but I think I might use that darker colour. I can't remember what it was called now. Was it Field Grey? To just darken it a little bit more. We don't want to do it so dark that we can't see. So we could go for the obsidian green actually to darken it. I might use that. It's even darker, and it will just make it look different to the toenails because they're with that Field Grey. So I think I'll do that actually right now. Oops, my pencils are rolling away. So here is the obsidian green. I'm going to start on this side this time so you can see. So just on the very edge, and then sort of scumble it in a little bit, and then just at the base here and sort of scumble it up and sort of fade it up. And the same on this edge. And then I might just put a sort of more deeper line around here. So here, a bit here on the back, and then across the bottom there, and then around the edge. Same here at the bottom, like that. And then around here. Doing that bit first on this one. A little bit there, but mainly at the bottom. Here. And then I'm going to grab the cactus again and just go back over and just make sure I've got a sort of even blend. I'll show you cactus. Yeah, my eyes are going funny. It's always at this time of day. I think it's the light. It doesn't suit my eyes. Sort of afternoon where the sun's blasting in and I've got to shut the blind, and it just makes my eyes feel a bit weird. I'm going to use the same colours on this part of him. Let's just move them across a tad so you can see. I think what I'm going to do is use my mid colour, my cactus. Is that my mid-ish? And start at the bottom and layering up. So the same as I have done with the feet. And then just reduce it as I go up. So less layers higher up. Do the same here. So all the way along this edge, this is my darkest bit. Now I can definitely add more colours to this if I feel it needs it. But at the moment, I'm just going to try this one. We've got these lines and things as well, which I won't be completely ignoring either. But I'm just going to get my sort of basic tone done. You can see I'm just coming back to keep building up the colour in the area that I want to be the darkest. I realise sort of under these flowers there'll be some shadow, that sort of thing. We're not going to do much about that yet, same as under the shell. Okay, now I am going to grab a bit of that obsidian green. Do you remember I used it on the edges of the feet just now? We're going to use it on the edge of the body. So I'm going to put a little bit here and then just gently fade it up like that. Don't press too hard because this is a really dark. I'll show you on my swatch sheet. This can look like that. We don't want it that dark. We want it gently blended in to the cactus so that it just gives a shadowy look. We don't want a thick dark green area. Well, you might. That's not what I'm going for. I'm trying to just keep it quite gentle like that. And then back to my cactus, I'm just going to blend that in more. So up here, for example, I'm going to layer a bit over the top and then just take the colour up a little bit. Same here. And then I'm thinking just under our shell here, we would have a darker shadow. I'm just going to pop that in like that, but I'm going to continue it up here a bit. So I think if we just make the top there and under here a little bit darker, it would just help the neck to look a little bit less flat. I'm going to just scumble that in a bit so it isn't just one line. There he is. Now those lines, I think we're going to treat them as if they're little wrinkles in his skin. Just sharpening my field grey, and we're going to use this to emphasise them a little bit. Now I'm going to do underneath, so underneath this line I'm just going to put a bit of field grey like that, and same here. So just a little bit, and it adds what looks like it adds a little bit of texture. Hopefully that's what I'm trying to do. So if you go all the way under this one, once you've decided on a direction, whether it's above or below, keep with it. So I'm trying to figure out this way would be this side, this line. And just do it with them all, and it gives us this little bit of wrinkly texture to our little man. Little old man. How old do you think he is? They live a long time, don't they? Over 100 or even older, I think. I think this will have to be underneath too, like that, and then a little bit under here and under there. Now we have the little flowers on the head, which I'm just going to do as well. Now we've got this sort of grey pinky colour which I think I want to replicate, but I want to make them look prettier, if that makes sense. So rather than going for the grey pinks, I'm going to go for the actual pinks. So we used a pink, we used the ash rose, didn't we? No, that isn't really what I want to do. I am going to go for the pink heather. I think that might work. Where are you, pink heather? There we go. So here is the pink heather. I need to sharpen it. Now I'm going to use that for the round flowers, the ones that don't have separate petals. I hope you can understand which ones I'm talking about. You'll see as I start. Now I think these can look just quite pretty left like this. You can draw petals in because where these circles begin and end, there'd be a petal if you want to, with a darker colour pencil or even a pen if you are so inclined. But I'm quite happy just leaving them as a little round flower. I think they look rather pretty like that. I can do this other one slightly darker, using the French mauve. I'm trying to think, have I done a picture in this book before with the Chromaflow? Not sure. French mauve. I can't remember. And as you can see, we still got that slightly muted pinky purpley colour, but it isn't got the grey in it like the shell. But I think it looks like her flowers are matching her shell. We've gone to a her now because we're doing flowers. Now the centres, I think I might do all the same. Just looking at my colours, I've got a really dark dusky purple. So, yeah. Oh, that's a big clunk next door. No, that's dark purple. That isn't what I want at all on them. Where's the dark? Here it is. Dusky purple. I'm going to sharpen it. Now this is very, very dark, and I don't necessarily want it really, really dark, so I'm going to just start with a lightish layer. Yeah, that's perfect. There we go. Now we need our leaves to look significantly different to our turtle's skin. The olivine is quite greyish. That might work. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. But quite nice to go to a bright, but I just think it would look quite strange. So we're going to use the olivine. Just going to block it in really, I think. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, I'm thinking I might use the olivine for the grass as well. I don't know if it's different enough to her feet colour. I think it is. I shall have a think about that, I think, between videos. I think I'm going to leave this here for now and do another one, because we've been going for 40 odd minutes and it seems a good place to stop, and we can come back and do the houses and the grass in the next video. But yeah, I think she looks okay. It's a very interesting set of colours, and she's coming along nicely. So thank you for watching today. I hope that you have a super day and happy colouring.